All right, YouTube, this Detroit's HPTV coming back at you with another video. I was done for the day and then I ran across an interesting clip I want you guys to see. And it was so revealing because we already had suspicions that the AKA and the sororities and the fraternities that are Greek with so-called Black Americans are part of them are in collusion to shape the mindset of the voters by putting a black face on some racist policies because they benefit and become the gatekeepers and the overseers of black people. While they get benefits and the crumbs from the Democratic table, the rest of the masses of us suffer. We knew that that type of behavior was going on, but we didn't know that it was orchestrated, and there was collusion amongst these so-called Divine Nine. Now, if you don't know, the Divine Nine are the 9 Greek fraternities from the HBCUs. Now, if they were so intelligent, why would they choose to be a part of a Greek fraternity and wouldn't create nothing of their own? But their secret codes and handshakes and their rituals and their paddlings have united them to dark forces, allegedly. You know, what makes a grown man go through hazing and secret rituals to be a part of an organization that claims its origins with Greeks? I always question that. But what we're finna see now is Steve Harvey said the quiet part out loud. And his zeal to go at Dr. Umar Johnson, he revealed something that we all had overlooked about D.L. Hughley, Ricky Smiley, and himself, and Kamala Harris. He said the quiet part out loud, that this so-called Divine Nine of Greeks and hazing, they have an agenda. Now, we all know that there are dark forces in Washington, and we know we're fighting not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places. We know we're dealing with some evil. But I want you to watch this clip I seen on Fawcett Media with Steve Harvey saying the quiet part out loud. This is for fair usage under the 1976 Copyright Act. It's for education and commentary. And I am standing on the First Amendment as a U.S. citizen. Check out what Steve Harvey reveals in his zest to check Umar Johnson.
Some of the stuff I don't always agree with, but ain't nobody got to agree with everything I say. But let me clear the air on something. Some of the stuff I don't always agree with, but ain't nobody got to agree with everything I say. But let me clear the air on something. Please. You can't hire Steve Harvey for $10,000 to do nothing. Thanks. Let me just A that out the way. I don't know where you got that number from. But you can't offer Steve Harvey $10,000 to do nothing.
I told you this was heating up. So apparently now Steve Harvey has responded to Dr. Umar in reference to taking money from the Democratic Party to push a certain message. Steve has recognized the hierarchy in this discussion. Let's take a listen to what he said.
Umar specifically called you out, Steve. He called out Ricky Smiley. He claimed that both of you were paid to support Kamala Harris's campaign. Here's what he said.
But if we're going to be honest, Steve Harvey and Ricky Smiley, and I love you both, no hate to my big brothers, but if we're going to be honest, Ricky Smiley and Steve Harvey, y'all only carried on.
I mean, despite the accusation, he definitely was respectful to them, and I think that is what elicits this response from Steve Harvey.
Because y'all got paid to carry on. Can we please be honest? Can we see? I want y'all to understand, overstand, and understand what King Kong is talking about. Y'all carried on because y'all got paid to carry on. Kamala Harris and the Democratic plantation is paying you celebrities, paying you to shame black people into voting. Y'all know we're not going to get nothing out of that vote. Y'all know we're not going to get nothing out of that vote. Y'all know we're not going to get nothing out of the vote. But they being paid, y'all being bought. They offer me $10K for an interview with Kamala Harris. I don't want your money, but we can definitely do the interview.
Steve.
Want to build your business but not sure where to start? Try Taylor Brands.
It's actually an all-in-one platform.
Well, first of all, we're going to have her on her again, or how many other times it's needed to get her into office.
To get some votes.
Brother Umar, let me say this, man. I absolutely love some of the things you say. I really, really do, man. Some of the stuff I don't always agree with, but ain't nobody got to agree with everything I say. But let me clear the air on something.
Please.
You can't hire Steve Harvey for $10,000 to do nothing.
Yes, thanks.
Let me just A that out the way.
And B.
Now, I don't know where you got that number from, but you can't offer Steve Harvey $10,000 to do nothing.
Now, to be fair, Umar said in the first video, and this is all alleged, like I said before in the previous video, he was offered $10,000. He's not saying you were offered $10,000, Steve Harvey. Yes, that would be ridiculous. Just like going back to the Marlon Wayans and Vlad conversation, like $10,000 for a millionaire is not enough to get them to move. But there could have been something, maybe some kind of in-kind favor or something. I don't want to theorize too much. That you were, or maybe just entree into the White House when and if Kamala was elected. Having a relationship with the president. You see, there's also many different ways to slice this. And I think what he's saying, in essence, is that by being in the bag for Kamala, you might be compromised. That's all.
Now, you can go through the industry and ask about me.
That's
Bro,
hey.
let me tell you something.
In his arrogance and his ego, he is fin to reveal something that wasn't widely known. He's fin to reveal how the fraternity brothers are all in unison and in media positions to shape and influence Black America. And how they, because of their fraternities and their allegiance to the Divine Nine, are in collusion, allegedly, to sell out Black America and America in general to support a global elitist agenda that will create a new world. And he has already chose a side. But listen closely to what he's about to say.
Omar, let me tell you something, man. And there ain't no hate here at all, because I like some of the work he does. I really do.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I don't
He said
I don't do nothing for $10,000. Don't even insult. Don't insult the brand equity that I've built over these 30 years of television. I just don't, man. And I'm doing this absolutely free of charge because I want this country to be in her hands as opposed to Donald Trump's hands. That's
okay. So he's doing it for free, but he's still admitting that he's doing something. What are you doing for free? Just offering her a free platform, or are you doing something else by providing your influence that you have from this audience? You know, people have these audiences and they don't realize the power that they have.
why I do it. Now, me and Ricky Smiley happen to be on the same page. Now, we Q's now, and so is D.L. Hughley.
Mm-hmm.
And Q,
I don't think that that's going to sit well as he think it is. To openly admit that you and your fraternity brothers who have a sacred oath and secret oath and allegiance to organizations who consider themselves better and above the masses of Black Americans, that's not a good look. Because the reason that you called yourself the Divine Nine, and it comes from Du Bois's theory of a talented tenth that would lead the masses of Black people. That's kind of treacherous to say that you guys are on the same page, even though it conflicts with the general aspirations of the masses of Americans, Black, white, and others. Let's listen.
who's kind of run the airways of Black radio.
Okay. Is that an accident or is that purposeful? That's interesting. Because they all have these same type of morning shows. They're all comedians. Interesting.
Okay. All right.
The Q's is running the airways of Black radio.
All right, Purple.
But we also understand what's at stake here. So no, I haven't received a single dollar from anybody to do what I do. And I'm doing it gladly for free.
But you know, that might also account for the reasons that these views are so homogenous. Why is Black or urban radio run by a very particular type of person? See, this is where we get into the place where there's no diversity of thought. If all these same people are running this, they come from the same fraternity, they come from the same profession, and they have the influence and they have the pulpit where politicians are going to come and have this discussion, why should they all have the same viewpoint? You know, and I think this is something the Black community needs to straighten out, because we're not getting the full story. We're getting a lot of demonization, you know, like in the case of Ricky Smiley. Like, why is he demonizing people who have differing opinions from him? You know what I'm saying? And this is where we get to the whole conversation about class within race, the intra-race discussion.
Gladly for free.
Yes.
And I'm going to freely have a single dollar from anybody to do what I do. And I'm doing it gladly for free.
Yes.
And I'm going to freely have her on here again and again and again. I am going to freely ask soft-ass questions. I am going to freely lob the basketball so she can.
He's saying this to your face, that he's going to interview her and don't ask her any questions that will guarantee you any type of policies. He's admitting to it. He's admitting to being an allegiance to the Cubes with D.L. Hughley and the rest of them. I think that he has said things that maybe he shouldn't have kept, or he assumes that we're dumb and we're stupid and we can't read between the lines and we don't recognize what he just said. He just said that they are using their platforms and their influence to manipulate the masses of Black Americans into supporting a candidate who isn't even in their own best interest. Think about that.
Slam dunk all these questions? Oh, yes.
And that does nothing to help her as a candidate. That does nothing to help us really make an informed decision. If you're going to sit there and send her softball question. If you're going to sit there and send Kamala softball questions, lobs, so that she can dunk, it's almost like she's not able to play the game. Why do you feel she needs that unfair advantage? Is she qualified for the job or is she not? And that's part of the problem here. But going back to the whole fraternity question, you got these three figures that are D.L. Hughley, Ricky Smiley and Steve Harvey that are part of Omega Psi Phi, and Kamala Harris is part of Alpha Kappa Alpha. So are we supposed to be dealing in this Greek relationship? Is this how our politics is moving now, where it's purely based in fraternities and sororities? Like, let us know, because I don't know if everybody agrees with that. So I just hope that people are allowed to make their decision without influence, without undue influence.
I'm going to freely sit here and agree. So the black vote is not for sale, but it is a very important block of votes that can control the outcome of this election. And if I have my way, if it is within God's will, she will be the next president of the United States, because the alternative, see, there's only two people running for president.
Yeah.
It's Kamala Harris, Madam Vice President Kamala Harris, or Donald Trump.
So what Steve Harvey is saying, well, you could clearly hear what he's saying, but they want to elect the party for abortion. Did you guys know that the Democratic Convention is offering free abortion and free vasectomies to black people at Chicago at a convention? That's dastardly. Now, it's bad enough that they want to reassign gender on a public school and primary school level and leave the borders open so that the communities will become amalgamated and engulfed into some type of genetic mixed salad. But they're telling you that these Hollywood types are in collusion with the Democratic Party to push these agendas down the throats of the American masses. And he wants to do it by any means necessary, because you look at him as some type of star or some type of leader or some type of person that you can trust. Remember, Malcolm X said, don't trust these types.
That's the choice. So I don't know. And if somebody offered you 10, you should have took it. But anybody offered me nothing. But please don't insult me and offer me $10,000. Because I'm telling you right now, it cost way more. Me gonna turn this mic on.
Oh, see,
way
we
more.
gotta get him. It's $10,000.
I can't even let that get out about me.
The amount of insulting to you, wow.
That's just, really
the
bad.
brand.
Steve Harvey is making this joke, but Dr. Umar Johnson never said they offered Steve Harvey $10,000. He said they offered him $10,000, just like other TikTokers and media influencers have been offered money through the DNC. Steve Harvey has shown so many times that he is foolish and very unwise in the things he say. I remember the things that he did to undermine Bernie Mac, which told the community that he was very untrustworthy as a so-called black man. But right now, he's saying things that you really need to pay attention to about himself.
But they could take their campaign money and put it into other causes, like buying ads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The ad I'm running right now, this is free.
That's right. It sounds like an ad paid for by Kamala for president.
Free. Please go vote for Kamala Harris. Do it for free.
Kamala Harris campaign ad right now. Please vote. The black vote is not for sale.
It is not.
But it is a very, very viable force. It really is important. And that's why everybody wanted, man.
That's right.
And because let me tell you something. If you look at the last presidential election, when it got down to Michigan, Wisconsin, it got down to Philly, and Philadelphia, it got down to Georgia, Atlanta.
Exactly.
Yeah. Philly, Pennsylvania. All those, the Republicans were winning in the suburbs. When they got to the inner cities where we heavily populate Atlanta, Philadelphia, Detroit, Milwaukee, that turned the election.
Yeah.
So why not ask for something in return? This is why we don't need entertainers in this position. We need to have our best minds on these jobs, because that point that he just pointed out, that fact that
I'm gonna cut in on him for a minute. But he just told you how strong of a voting bloc we are. But he says he's gonna throw her easy questions and never ask her to do anything, including reparations. He's not going to ask her to commit to do anything for the very voting bloc that changes the dynamics in the elections. So what incentive do we have to even listen to a person like Steve Harvey? He says the vote is not for sale, but the vote shouldn't be for free, no matter what.
he just pointed out, that this came down to the black electorate making the decision between winner and loser. That is power. That is what you use to negotiate, to get things. Let me see if I can teach you this. This is political capital that we could use to then further things that would improve the black community. And this is what's frustrating about this whole thing. It's because you have people in the way that are not allowing even that. Even if you were to pick Kamala, even if you were, you would get something from her. And see, this is the problem. You would have a pledge. Now she goes in without any type of resistance, and you pushing her, and we're supposed to then, after the fact, ask for something. Well, that we know what happens then. You don't get anything. You don't get anything.
The same thing can happen this time, and they all know it. Why do you think Donald Trump, who don't give a damn about the National Association of Black Journalists, would even walk his ass out there? He was out there to try to make black people think that he's done more for black people than any president since Abraham Lincoln. But he can't name one thing he's done for black.
Most contractors will not do government projects. The reason? They don't know how to deal with the paperwork. Gad's...
And then...
Yeah, he did. He's always...
Let me say something. Steve Harvey just told a lie. Everybody knows he told a lie. Donald Trump freed Kwame Kilpatrick of Detroit and pardoned him. He freed Angela Stanton, Kodak Black, Lil Wayne. He gave money to the HBCUs. He created the First Step Act. And he was building a wall around the country to keep us safe from the immigrants. Now, he says we can't name anything that Donald Trump did. I just named several off the top of my head. I just named several. So he is saying to the black people that he will lie to you and mislead you and misguide you, and he's doing it for free. Treacherous, treasonous, despicable.
Talking about the fact that he funded the HBCUs, which, going back to the Greek letter organizations that were founded at some of these HBCUs, yeah, I think that's a lot. That's actually a lot. I'm not going to take that away from Donald Trump, and you shouldn't either, based on what your desire is for Kamala to be president.
Got mad at the black woman for asking him tough questions. Now,
she didn't greet him. That was actually foul. I probably would have done the same thing, honestly. When that woman snapped on him at the NABJ, the fact that he was even there, you're right. He didn't have to be there.
This is almost over, and I'm running to my 30-minute mark. So I'm going to put the rest of that in the community section. Please check out my community section. Got a lot of interesting information there. But clearly, Steve Harvey has told you in no uncertain terms that he is a sellout. You can't remember. You should be able to remember how he betrayed Bernie Mac. What's his reputation with his black counterparts, even in Hollywood? And now we find out that this divine nine or devilish nine are in collusion with the Democratic Party to manipulate and sway the black vote for nothing. Let that register in your mind. Nothing. No policies. Nothing but abortion and LGBTQ and immigration and inflation. And now she's talking about setting prices and doing things that are socialism and communism. I'm going to end on this note. Share this video. This is Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit. Support the nonprofit, Detroit's Black Thought and Action Collective. The Cash App is in the channel description. But I'm just overwhelmed by how much Steve Harvey admitted. How much he really admitted and gave you something to think about. So I'm signing out, Detroit. Salute to all patriots as always. Keep your head on a swivel. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.